We're looking at a process which is far cheaper to produce pig iron. We believe that we'll be at the bottom end of the cost curve. And whereas the average pig iron production price out of, say, Brazil is around about $450 to $500 a tonne, we believe we're going to be below $300 a tonne. We believe we can produce the lowest cost pig iron on the planet.
We're probably going to require about $400 million capital. You can get about a $150 million loan from the central government, 10-year interest-free, and financing your for 5 years your labour bill, 25% of your labour bill. So if you talk $450 million, then 150 million of that will get from the support from the local government. We then talk $300 million. If a Nucor or a Mittal or one of these integrates these producers in America, once we start signing offtake agreements with them, then the idea would be to take, if you like, those offtake agreements and raise some funding against it. So ultimately, we see sort of a combination between government support, if you like, debt, finance, using the offtake agreements to finance, and then go out and raise some equity. But to raise equity on the back of the fact that you're going to be the lowest cost producer, we don't see that as a problem.
The idea is to have this in production in 2015. We've got a huge resource. We have 450 square kilometers of resources. Currently on 3% of this entire claim, we've identified our maiden resource.
We've got Canadian partners. They have a company called Grand River.
Just think of it, 3% of 450 square kilometers of resources to produce 500,000 tons of pig iron a year.
In the Grand River itself, the company itself, the local community are also stakeholders. The central Canadian government actually announced this particular project because job creation is a big thing for them. Ultimately, we think this thing is so scalable that this can be listed by itself. We are now sitting with our partners to see, when we do this, timing obviously is important. But we think this thing, one plant can make about $100 million pre-tax. So if you put up 2-3 plants, this is really something. This is a game breaker. It's much bigger than Petmin, and the potential is enormous.
All in all, we've got a very large resource, highly scalable, well located from a logistics perspective, from a power perspective, from a port perspective, 7 days away from its natural market, which is the United States. While Goose Bay and Labrador is our key focus, the opportunity to scale up this business by having 2-3 plants located elsewhere in the world does exist.
Our Canadian partners would like this to be listed in Toronto on the TSX, and we fully support that. But then clearly, if we unbundle, if you think about the structure, if we then have to unbundle the shares to the Petmin shareholders, we'll then also probably have to be a secondary listing in Johannesburg, and traditionally Brackley and myself, on a long-term view, enjoy London. We really think the serious players are London. So those are sort of 3 of the ones which we're contemplating. And we're going through a debate now with our partners to make sure we do what is best for everyone. Realistically, if we have a 43-101 by September, that's probably more or less the perfect time to look to see that we can start the listing process.
If you wanted to say what would you have in 10 years' time, I think if we had 3 to 4 plants each producing 500,000 tons of pig iron, at a cost below $300, where the market price is $500, you've got a serious business. You've got a business that is making $300 to $400 million a year. Now that is ultimately the aim. That would be fantastic. Yes, it is linked into, and what are the risks? They're linked into the steel business. That's what it is. And I think at the end of the day, we're steel bulls. We believe that in the long term, we've done a lot of research, and there's a lot of research out there. We take a view on the steel market for the next 10 to 20 years that it's still going to be robust. That obviously it gets a little bit frayed around the edges, but it's still going to be robust, and that's the market we want to play. So this is a business, as I say, and if you think about that as on a multiple level on a TSX listing, you're talking about a seriously large company.